With a flurry of Christmas making and knitting behind us, we can turn our attentions to Valentine's Day. Now, not everybody appreciates a handmade gift, but in my household, we're all makers and artists, and we all appreciate the time, the care, the thought that goes into a handmade gift. For Christmas, Abigail, my oldest daughter, made us all polymer clay figurines, which were adorable, and she's inspired one of my Valentine's Day projects. I've also made a super cute heart garland from scraps of hand-dyed sock yarn. I've got a simple yet elegant card idea for you. And of course, knitting. Lots and lots of knitting. I've been working on Valentine's Day gifts for members of my family, and a lot of these projects are simple and easy to make, yet super sweet and from the heart. You can complete most of them within a day, and I'm excited to share them with you. We all know that home is where the heart is. I love this garland. It is the perfect use for using up little bits of mini leftovers or sock yarn leftovers. And if you are a knitter or a crocheter that typically uses worsted weight yarn, you can also use worsted weight and just get a little bit bigger of a garland. And best of all, the pattern is free. I'll put a link in the down bar below in case you're interested. And these crochet hearts go together super quick. Let me show you. We have a strange Valentine's Day tradition here in our house that involves rickrolling each other. And the reason I share that with you is to explain a card I'm going to show you here in a minute. It's not unusual for our house, if you're watching a show on television or on the internet, for all of a sudden Rick Astley to pop on screen and be singing Never Gonna Give You Up. My kids and my husband have discovered an app that allows them to take charge of the television. And even though rickrolling was popular, 10 years ago, it's still alive and well in our home. Usually each Valentine's Day, I give my husband a card that looks a little bit like this. This card was purchased off of Etsy, and I think it's adorable. But this year, I made him a card that looks like this. It's got a crocheted heart from the Garland that I showed you earlier, with a quote from Rick Astley of Never Gonna Give You Up. But if rickrolling is not your thing for Valentine's Day, you can always do a card that says, "Be mine," or you can always write, "I love you," or maybe "I like you a lot" across the bottom instead. But these are super easy to make. I've become really interested in brush lettering lately, which produces these thick, thin lines in the words. And brush lettering is really easy. It's based on the concept of thin pressure when you do an upstroke and thick pressure when you do a downstroke, or you can think of it as thick pressure when you do a downstroke and thin pressure when you do an upstroke. But if you are not into brush lettering, you can always just write with your regular handwriting across the bottom. I am using Tombow markers to do the printing or the writing, but I've heard that you can get this similar effect with even Crayola markers or Sharpies if you hold them in the right way at an angle and apply the appropriate pressure. I don't know if that's completely true because I haven't tried it, but I have read it on the internet, so it must be true. These cards are super easy to make. I buy the plain craft paper cards that come with envelopes, crochet a little heart, and do the printing. The crochet heart that I have put on these cards is just round 1 and 2 of the crochet heart pattern. You can do all 3 and have a bigger heart, but I prefer the smaller heart. I attached the crocheted heart with regular old Elmer's glue. Chances are, if you're a knitter, you are familiar with the sweater curse. If not, the story goes something like this. You decide to knit a sweater for your boyfriend, partner, crush, and by the time the sweater is finished, so is your relationship. And in fact, the sweater curse is so well known that it even has a Wikipedia page for it. If you're not ready for a sweater commitment, but you want a gift that says, I like you a lot, I've got some ideas for you. The first idea is not that original. It's just a sock, a good old pair of hand-knit socks, maybe in a hand-dyed yarn. These I started for Corey, but they're so pretty, I might keep them for myself. The yarn is a hand-dyed yarn by my friend Sue of Legacy Fiber Arts, and I just think it's gorgeous. So maybe Corey will get these, but I'm not sure. Another idea that works up pretty quickly because it's in a worsted weight are fingerless mitts. This is a pattern that I've written that's free on my website, andresueknits.com. The pattern's called Tipsy. I called it Tipsy because the tips of the gloves are missing. And it's available in 3 sizes and 2 different styles. This style here is the ribbed version, and there's also a stockinette version. I've knit so many pairs of these, but this is the only pair that still lives in my house because they make excellent gifts. You can also find this pattern on Ravelry under the name Tipsy if you want to find it there. If you are looking for a project or a gift for maybe a little one in your life, you could consider this little guy. He's called Voodoo, You Love Me, and I think he is just darling. You can make him bigger by knitting him in a worsted weight or a bulky weight, but I've knit him out of sock yarn leftovers. And I knit him a few years back for Rachel. She's named him Sherbert, and I think he is so cute. Now, I've never put the sweater curse to the test. I didn't learn to knit until after I was married, and from what I understand, the sweater curse does not apply to married couples. And I've knit Corey a lot of sweaters, and we're still happily married. But one Valentine's Day, I was looking through my yarn stash and saw leftovers from one of the sweaters I knit Corey, his favorite sweater actually, and I got the great idea of maybe knitting our dog a matching sweater. So for Valentine's Day, Corey came home to find our dog dressed exactly like him, which I thought was pretty darn funny. So you could always consider that too. So no matter your relationship status, no matter what you want to say with your gift, you know, me, my girls, my husband, and I always value handmade items, and I hope you do too. In our house, Abigail, my oldest daughter Abigail, is the polymer clay artist, and this year for Christmas she made each one of us a polymer clay figurine, and they were really cute, and I was inspired by her creations to try my own hand at sculpting and created a couple of Valentine's Day figurines. A little girl gnome and a little boy gnome, and she's got a heart for him and he's got a flower for her. And they are really quick and easy to make and a lot of fun. I've done quite a bit of Google searching as I've created these to kind of learn as I go. And it turns out you can paint these after they've been cooked. With acrylic paint, there are some paints you want to avoid because it will dissolve the polymer clay over time. Fingernail polish is one of the culprits that will continue to deteriorate your piece if you try to paint with nail polish. But acrylic paint you're safe with. And there are some polymer clay safe varnishes as well that you can use. Tons of tutorials online, but I really enjoyed making these. These are super cute. And I think I might give these to Corey. I wonder if he'll display them on his work desk. If you have any Valentine's Day traditions or crafts that you do each year, leave a comment below and let me know what it is. And I hope you have a wonderful holiday yourself. And as always, thank you so much for joining me. And until next time, bye.